there's a new index called the Crypto Speculation Index. And this is interesting. This measures altcoin performance versus Bitcoin. And when very little altcoins outperform Bitcoin, then that's usually a sign of capitulation, a sign of a bottom, and when things turn around, right? And we are at that point right now. If you look at, I'm going to remove the camera, you look at the very right-hand side, we have fallen to a point where very, very, very little alts are outperforming Bitcoin, just at 7%. And the last time this happened was right during like 2023 when we bottomed out around that, 16, 17, 18, 20,000 mark, right? We're seeing the same thing. A lot of capitulation with alts because people do not like their performance and are selling them, right? But what this is showing is kind of like the crypto greed and fear index. When fear is extremely high, or in this case, speculation is extremely low, that's usually a good sign of a turnaround, of a bottom, right? You can make that argument. Just like if you look at what happened in 2020 and 2021, we have seen periods like that before. But this is a pretty good indicator that, hey, a bottom is here and we're going to go higher. This is also interesting. Only 0.26% of the global population can own one Bitcoin. And we're nowhere close to that. Okay. So that's why if you are a whole coiner, which is a really, really amazing goal, if you think about it, there are literally no one on the planet that could really take out $58,000 to buy a whole Bitcoin from their savings, right? I know there are millionaires and billionaires that can do it, but in terms of just general people that are working, average Joes that are working 9 to 5, almost no one can do that. Just take out $58,000 and buy a single Bitcoin. But it's much easier now than later when Bitcoin is at 100,000 or 200,000 or $1 million, right? So it's still achievable through DCAing to get one whole Bitcoin. And the reason why it's such a good goal to have is because just look at it. Only 0.26% of the global population can own one Bitcoin. But that's actually not even possible because you already have BlackRock that owns a huge percentage of it. MicroStrategy that owns a huge percentage of it. The ETFs around the world own a huge percentage of it. And that doesn't include Satoshi himself and all the lost Bitcoin. That's anywhere from like 5 to 7 million or maybe even higher. So it's impossible. This is just theoretical, right? Actually, the global population in terms of how much that they could own is a lot less because there's not that much to go around. So much of it has been removed from supply already. So this is actually not even possible. It actually really isn't, right? So for those of you guys that have at least one coin already, I mean, you're so ahead of the game. In 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? When the whole world actually starts really, truly embracing Bitcoin and everyone is truly fighting for it, that's when it becomes virtually impossible for them to actually get even one or 0.1, okay? Because at that point, even 0.1 Bitcoin will cost what it costs a whole Bitcoin now. Think about it. When Bitcoin hits $500,000, $600,000, which I know it will, not this cycle, next cycle, 0.1 Bitcoin will cost you then $60,000. Just 0.1. But today, with $60,000, you can buy more than one Bitcoin, right? So that's just how it's going to be forever. It's like land. It's like owning a city block or just a small little land in downtown Manhattan, let's say. It's never going to reset. It's never going to go back to zero or cheap. It's only going to go up in price, just like Bitcoin, right? That's why you got to load up when you can, as much as you can, while it's still cheap. If you want to comment on anything I've said in this video, make sure you head over to the Roundtable. The Roundtable is a new social media platform created for conversations. And best of all, it's spam-free, bot-free, unlike here on YouTube. And you could have conversations with me and others like Altcoin Daily, Scott Melker, Mauro Nafal, and many others are joining daily. And you also get rewarded in tokens for doing so. So check out the new roundtable. Click the link in the description below. Here's something else. Elon said Tesla will accept Bitcoin once again if it becomes 50% or if it's using 50% renewable energy. And right now we're at 55%. It's higher than any other industry in the world. Higher than gold, higher than, I don't know, silver, copper, whatever. Bitcoin, using the highest percent of sustainable energy versus anything else out there. That is fantastic. Now, whether Tesla does embrace Bitcoin again, I don't know. Obviously, I've been talking a lot about the macro stuff. Fundamentals, they're all still fantastic. But if you're looking at charts again, they're fantastic too. Fractal patterns versus previous cycles looks very, very similar. This is comparing again to the 2017 cycle. The way we're moving this cycle is almost identical to the 2017 cycle. And that's a good thing. But what's not identical are the dips. 2017, we had 35, 40% dips all day long. Like, we had so many of them. It was scary. And the Bitcoin was only, it started a year at $1,000. We're not starting a year at, $1,000, but still, we're mimicking it so closely. And that's a good thing. So this is what it's looking like right now versus what happened before. And yes, I do believe that we will break out and we will hit a high way sooner and way quicker than people expect. And that high being also much higher than people expect too. Here's something else that shows this giant cup and handle that we're in. And once we break out of it, where are we heading to? $240,000? Yeah, that's not unreasonable. Could be even higher. Again, we just don't know at this point. But based on history, based on macro conditions, based on fundamentals, and based on the inflows, okay, Bitcoin is going to go a lot higher later this year and especially next year. 2025 is really the year that is supposed to be bullish. Okay, we're just ahead of the game this time. Cycle, way ahead of the cycle. Okay, we were never supposed to break previous highs until like October. If you look at previous cycles, that's how it's always been. October, November is when you usually make a move and break through previous highs. But we did it ahead of time because of the ETFs, right? We're accelerated. So again, by the end of this cycle, we could all be absolutely flabbergasted by the gains. And I truly mean that. And here's another one. Inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like, right? And if we could break through that neckline support, again, the next stop, who knows?